Hello and welcome everyone. My name is Matt Christina, Call Center Studio Channel Manager for the Americas region. I would like to introduce today Cenk Soyak, CEO of Call Center Studio. Prior to founding Call Center Studio, Cenk was the General Manager for Effortel, managing MVNO and MVNE operations for multiple countries. Cenk has also worked as a managing partner for Ernst & Young, providing advice to executive leadership, and perhaps giving advice is what he does best. I'm happy to introduce to you today my mentor and friend, Cenk Soyak.
Thank you, Matt, and thanks for everyone who took time to join in such turbulent times. We wanted to have this webinar for two reasons. Actually, this is the fourth one we organized during the last 2 weeks. The first three was for our customers, and then we wanted to have this one to gather call center professionals to share their experience. So I will try to encourage participants to ask questions and join interactively during and after the presentation, which is on the screen. Secondly, we migrated more than 4,000 agents of our customers for just in the last 10 days. So there is valuable experience here. There are also millions of call center agents migrated to home offices all around the world, working on different platforms. So we are also in contact with the associations, our sources, and even with our competitors to share knowledge at this extraordinary times. And therefore, I will be more than happy to have your comments and contributions throughout this presentation. So what I want to do is first, I'd like to start actually with a question to understand better the audience. I'd like to start a question about, what are you currently working at? So if you're from information technology, operations, sales and business development, marketing, so that I will stick to the important parts of the presentation. Okay, the votes are coming. And I will share the results with you. So it seems that we have 14% of the participants are from information technology, 12 operations, 37 sales and business development. It's changing now, but it's like more or less we have more salespeople and marketing and others than that. Okay, that's great. Okay, so let me move on. Like most of us, depending on the country we live in, we had heard the news on the media first. So what were our first reactions? So we heard it on the news media, maybe from friends and chat groups. And after a few weeks, businesses have started to take precautions for work continuity, where we also started to take social distancing and complete stay home more seriously. I do not want to go into the pandemic details, nor I'm expert in that field. But as call center studio, we took some immediate actions because of the crisis our customers were in. And they were calling us to move their operations to home office. And actually, we moved our staff to remote work 3 weeks ago in 3 different countries and in 5 different locations. So that were the first reactions we got from this. And in this presentation, we like to look at the following areas to remote work, home office, home agents, and the terms that are around for a long time, and how are we forced to migrate to such working conditions now, and why our contact centers operations are more critical, and what is the factor of agent psychology? What are the typical steps and time frame for such a migration, and what long-term implications and precautions are there? And we're going to share some case studies. So about remote work. About remote work. We are here. So the question is your culture ready for remote work? Do you use any conference tools to interact between the teams and customers, partners, like Zoom, Meet, Skype, Slack, WhatsApp groups, and sometimes Trello? Are the executives and teams remote work friendly? So it's not only that you have the right tools, but what about the managers that you're working with? Do they encourage virtual collaboration? Are your personnel savvy enough with the remote tools? Do you have the necessary software, devices, and internet bandwidth to take this at home? And what are the advantages of cloud technology? So these are the things which are important in our minds to migrate to remote work. And why are call center operations critical? Call centers are actually the most dense working offices. People are very close to each other oftentimes. And agent morale is fragile at times like these where they are forced to continue their routines in a crowded environment. Currently, globally, more than 65% of call centers are running on traditional conventional hardware and on-premise based PBX systems, which makes it almost impossible to migrate the agents to remote work. So these low-tech infrastructures are hard to integrate with third-party applications and other interaction channels like chat, social media, messenger applications. And during times like these, multi-channels are more important than ever. I'm going to give some examples in the future. So we wanted to point out the migration steps. If you're a call center, you face the crisis, and now you decided, or maybe you are forced to send all your agents to work at home. So what are the migration steps and what are typical times? Actually, this is an example of how we are doing it. So let me walk you through this. First, there's the telco setup. Actually, before that, there are lots of questions on which operator are you working on, and do you have the necessary internet connection for your agents? What other applications are integrated with your already running call center platform? Do you have like CRMs or payment gateways integrated? You can move your stuff at home and they can start answering calls, but what are you going to do with the other things? So, so there's a question list, and then we typically start with telco setup, the trunks VPN setup, and number porting if necessary. And this typically takes from a couple of hours to a couple of days. And then we set up the IVR map, the agent setup, queues, priority settings, and then the definitions like user supervisor, phone numbers to be calling out. And then if there is a chat social media channel setup and permissions that are being integrated, as well as the third parties, some wizard and some web service requests are integrated. And then the network security definitions, firewall, client access, etc. And then after all these are set up, the technology infrastructure is ready to go. We move to administration and user training. And then there's a total go to live duration between 1 and 7 days. And what are the long-term implications of? Just to bear in mind, I want to finish the presentation as soon as possible, so there are more times for questions so that we can answer. So I cannot see right now. I have to switch to the other view to see if there are any questions, but maybe Matt or Charlie can see them. They can let me know. So what will be the long-term implications? So we don't know exactly how long the lockdown or the restrictions in the mobility are going to last. So adapting now to this flexible structure of not just the software, but also the teamwork, the remote teamwork, we think is important. Traditional and conventional call centers will need to move to such flexible solutions. If not now, in the future, we see that the migration will be faster. Actually, the analysts' view say that currently, I mean, before the pandemic, the conventional infrastructure were moving to cloud as 25.7% annually. So by 2023, 4 out of 5 call centers will be running on the cloud. So we think this is now going to be much more faster. And after all it's over and things are going to be different for businesses, individuals, and of course for call centers. So I selected some of the cases. We migrated more than 50 customers and 4,000 agents in the last 10 days. So there are some cases that we took over. So this might give you a chance to maybe ask some questions about the process. So one of them is a major metropolitan municipality. They have mission critical health and ambulance hotline and other community services, which is handled by their call center. Actually, the government issued a grant that all public personnel will be sent to home. Before that, they weren't allowed to do that. But after that was issued, in half day, all the personnel migrated to home office, and they even started getting supplement needs for elderly citizens for their urgent needs. The other one is a large distributor of medicine with a pharmacy network with more than 4,000 pharmacies. So they migrated in 1.5 days, and we got a thank you message from the IT manager. So these are 2 critical health-related case studies that we had in the last week. There's another job portal. They had full outbound operation with predictive dialer, around 100 seats. So they migrated in 1 day. There's another global payment gateway. They migrated in 2 days. You might ask, why in 2 days? The others are sure. So they had an integration with Salesforce. So we had to take that into the homes as well. And there's another HR recruitment portal and large airlines ticketing portal. These are all some of the examples that we were able to send out in a quite short of time. So what we are suggesting at this stage is to keep agent morale up and redesign and actively adapt your IVR according to the new necessities and new procedures. We we encourage you to use or integrate chat as soon as possible. In majority of the countries that we have operations, WhatsApp is the number one chat messenger, except from France and US. France, we really don't know because Europe, most of Europe is quite using WhatsApp a lot. But what we have seen is some of our customers, when they switch to WhatsApp, and WhatsApp is currently enabling, they used to be slow in giving business numbers, the authorizing business numbers, but now they are quite fast to do that. We are already trying one in Nigeria, a financial institution. So this is another channel. We think it's going to be more critical than ever in these times. So we encourage you to integrate some chat applications, and then the rest is, really internet connection speed, headphones, third-party integrations, and security. I don't want to go into the details, but these are the things that we are currently suggesting to call center managers to migrate their operations to remote work. So this is the end of the presentation, and I'll be more than happy to some questions. Okay. So Matt, do you have any?
Do I have any questions? Nobody has submitted any questions that I can see on my screen.
Okay, if you can also put your hand up. If I see anyone putting his or her hand up, I can open their mic. I had an indication that we have reached
we just have one.
Cenk. Okay.
From Eghosa asked a question. He said,
okay.
How are we able to integrate with multiple languages? And then he asked, to clarify, he said, are multiple languages supported? And then he said, so maybe you should answer that, and then we have another question after that as well.
Okay, now I'm opening his mic up, so if he wants to speak as well. So multiple languages currently, if you are talking about the agent side, the software, currently we are working on 5 different languages. But if there is another one, if we have a request to be seen and work in a different language, there's a language file that we translate, and when you load it up, we have a different language ready within 2-3 days. The problem for us is then the maintenance. Every week we are releasing at least 2 updates for the new functionalities and improvements that is on the platform. So we need to, once we launch a language, then we need to maintain that language as well. So most of the time we are looking for the languages and countries that we already have some resellers, so that we can put some of the maintenance work on the reseller. For the agent side, we currently, it is more than 10 different languages that we have announcements in our IVRs. We have people from South America, Middle East, US, where else? As long as, because the application is developed in English, the default language is English. So in most of the countries, the agents and the administrators use the English version.
Okay. We also have another question, Cenk.
Okay.
It was by Korhan. He asked, what about other channels? He said people use chat, WhatsApp business, and he wanted you to explain further if we have other multiple channels as well. I can unmute him.
Yeah, you
All right.
can. Once I think this is a good method to unmute. We have honestly the mostly used channel that we have currently is WhatsApp, and it is the fastest growing channel currently. Other than that, we are also integrated with Facebook Messenger. And we are also integrated with some short messaging platforms, SMS platforms, and we see that it was already growing at a high speed, but at these times we predict that the need and demand for alternative channels are going to increase. Yeah. So if there are any other questions, I see that we have unfortunately reached the attendee limit. So
yes, we have another question, Cenk, if you have a second. It's from Ekosa again. He said, thanks for clarifying. And then he asked, to be specific on the language, can you integrate in Nigeria, for example, local languages? And then he followed that up with, he'd also like to ask about your information security aspect. Do we have any ISO certifications then that can help us to ally to security fears as well?
Okay. Well, first, the second question. We are PCI compliant. This is how we are integrated in many financial institutions. They're most of the time credit card clearance integrations with the IVR that they are using. And the second is Call Center Studio is the first already the only still the only call center solution which is on Google's cloud. If you can Google, there is a case study about us. So what actually that means is, I don't want to go into very technical details, remembering that almost 10% of the audience are from IT, but just to make it simple, we are running on Google's App Engine, and this is the service that Spotify, Gmail, and YouTube is running on. So we have the same security protection as those services. And to be honest, we are currently in the market for 9 years almost, and we never had a security problem thanks to Google. This is not just for Google. Azure and AWS has the same kind of security protection system. So this is the level of security that we are running currently at the moment. And for specific countries, there are 36 sites of Google where they have their data centers. This is the Google is the first layer. The second layer is we are using another service from Google, which is called Google's compute engine, which we have the media gateways, and there again there is the security layer within Google, as well as all the transactions, voice and chat transactions are encrypted from end to end with 256-bit encryption. So the system actually is quite secure. That's why some of the financial institutions, global financial institutions, have carried out some like penetration tests, and they have security officers, information security officers, and they have to confirm that once a global financial institution is going to use a cloud solution. So we already have passed, and they are using us.
Cenk, can you hear me? This is Charlie.
Hi, Charlie.
Hi, Charlie.
Just to introduce myself, I'm head of the channel team here at Call Center Studio. Just want to briefly mention that we actually have a slide on our backup slides, slide 53, that talks about the security of Google Cloud. If you want to pull that up, Cenk, we also listed some of the certifications that we have, that Google Cloud has, so that could better answer the security concerns that our audience might have.
Okay, which slide is that? The slide number?
Slide 53.
53?
Yes.
I just switched it. Are you seeing the slides now, or are you seeing myself?
We can still see the slides.
Okay.
There you go. So when it comes to cloud technologies, I know security may be a concern, but it's not the case, because the reasons that Cenk has just mentioned. Google encrypts and secures your data in 6 layers of protection, and security of Google Cloud can be proven by the certifications listed on the bottom right of the screen. Depending on the operation, we can also apply for these certifications as well. And as Cenk mentioned, we already have a few at hand, but this kind of shows you the security layer of Google Cloud currently.
Thank you for this contribution, Charlie.
We also have another question, Cenk. It was from Kadram. He said, how easy is it to connect your solution with CRM systems? And can we connect it with any type of CRM, or only specific CRMs listed, such as Salesforce? I'll unmute him while you explain.
Yeah, a very good question indeed. And I'm unmuting Karim, by the way, if he wants to join. While we started coding, we designed the application as API first. So obviously we have some user interfaces, but we have some customers just using those APIs. They are able to generate their own user interfaces. So this actually allows us to be really flexible and really we are really fast in integrating with other third-party applications. Even better with the cloud ones, because we were born in the cloud, we were born in the browser, and this is why we are integrating with third-party applications like Salesforce, Zendesk, Zoho. We already have adapters with them, which makes it more easier and faster. But even if we come to a third-party application which we haven't integrated before, we have the APIs on our website, which is all open and public. So if you have a development team, you can go, and there are examples on the APIs. The development team can look at those APIs, and oftentimes they can integrate without our help. But if there is help needed, our technical team is quite experienced. Currently, I think we have more than 35 different brands that we are integrated with.
There's actually a list of products on the previous slide, on the 52nd one. If you go back a slide, maybe we can show the guys, show everyone.
Yeah, this one.
Exactly. Just a brief list of integrations we have.
Yeah. Karim, do you want to speak? Yes.
I'm here. Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Cool. Yeah. No, it's very interesting. I was just wanting to find out which CRMs you can connect with.
Yeah, these are the ones that we already have integrations. Of course, there are others, but we can integrate also with some, I would say, not with mainframes though, but with some legacy systems. As long as they can integrate with a web service, it is very easy for us to integrate. And also with the new, with the new channels like WhatsApp. I mean, WhatsApp integration was not that easy for us because Facebook didn't allow. They had an interesting way of integrations. They first announced some 40 companies in the world that you can go and integrate, and then it turned out that in some cases, if the customer is large enough, they were authorizing people to set up their own servers and integrate. So currently we have both of them. For large customers, we are using our own setup. For smaller ones, we are going to the Facebook's partners in order to get the WhatsApp integration up and running. And there are some really interesting cases, like maybe I can mention, there is a boiler company called Wyland, and they were one of the first WhatsApp integrations that we were able to do, and it really changed their way of interacting with the customers, because what Wyland customers call the call center is they are asking for maintenance or they have a broken boiler, and what the agents started using is they started asking the photographs of the model number and the serial number of the boiler, which is somewhere in the back of the boiler. And this actually, by having those photographs and processing them quickly through their CRM, really changed the way they started interacting with their customers. Not to mention that you don't have to wait in the queues, and you just can write something and you can wait for another 10 minutes or 1 hour, then you can respond back. The same comfort that we are having with WhatsApp and similar messengers. So, and the Facebook actually is calling this C-commerce as opposed to e-commerce that we used to know, like electronic commerce. This is called C-commerce, conversational commerce, and they were predicting that this was going to be getting very big, fast, and now we think this is going to be even faster, unfortunately.
Thank you.
Cenk, we also we also have another question from Eghosa. It's a follow-up to the security question. He said, thanks again, and he said PCI is the top certification. And then he asked, for countries who may have issues with internet connection and electricity, what are some solutions the call center can do to allow for seamless contact center operations for the business?
Well, I can answer that in two ways. One is call center studio is running on WebRTC. WebRTC is a new communication, I would say, protocol which enables voice and video messaging, and it has many benefits, but the related one is it requires very small bandwidth. So with like 100K, you can have two-way communication. So this is one of the advantages of us, I can say. And what this brings is that if, for example, you want to send your call center agent to remote work, typically what you do is you unplug the computer and the screen that they are using, and you ship home. Second alternative is that if they have a laptop or computer at home, you can assign the other security parameters and you can use them. But in our case, we can work in tablets or even mobile phones, because we can run on every media which is able to operate HTML5. So this brings actually both flexibility and security as well. And currently we are testing with a customer who is not able to utilize the fixed line internet in the agents. It's not a big operation. It's like a 20-seat operation. But they are trying to work from their mobile phones because we can support them. Usually this is not possible. One restriction is if the customer is running a third-party operation like a CRM, that CRM has to run on the cloud as well, so that the agent can control all the elements of the work, the calls, and then the CRM within his mobile phone. Of course, this is not I would say, a comfortable or an ideal solution, but in extreme cases, we can provide that as well. It also, by the way, now I'm looking at the question, it also depends on what kind of mobile service do you have. We tested even in 3G, it is working with 3G. Most countries now have 4G, 4.5G. But one of the advantages that WebRTC brings is that we are able to work flawlessly in very low bandwidths. I'm not sure if I hope that's that was the relevant answer. So, any other questions?
Yes, Eghosa has one more question, Cenk. He said, final question. Are regular updates done on the platform, and does that affect the cost?
That's another good question. Thank you. We are a pay-as-you-go platform, so you're not paying any license fees or upfront big capex investments to start using us. We have a pay-as-you-go model, so you are paying only for the agents that you're using within that month. So if you are getting smaller or getting larger in terms of your team, you have a flexible alternative. And as I said, every week we are releasing 2 upgrades to our system. You can think this as of the version of the generic software licenses, but we call it upgrades, and it's not versions, because every week 2 upgrades is not I would say typical, but we are running a single instance multi-tenant platform, which allows us to do that. So every new feature that we are releasing, it becomes instantly available to all our customers, and there isn't any additional cost for that. So we're not charging the customers for any additional upgrades. We don't have any maintenance fees. We don't have any additional prices for supervisor or admin users, or even if you are using a WhatsApp, for example, there isn't any additional use for taking other channels in activation. Like if you're a, let's say, 100-seat operation and you started using WhatsApp, if you can handle with 100 seats, there isn't any other additional cost. Did I forget anything? Maybe Charlie can help me out if I forget anything on the.
No, pretty much on the point, Cenk. Thanks for that.
Yeah.
Think multi-tenant infrastructure that we have pretty much answered the question. So once we have an update available, all of our users are able to take advantage of that and start using whatever the new feature we've added or we've fixed that we've going on instantly. That's the beauty of the whole product. And we have that twice a week, as Cenk mentioned already.
Okay, so I think we were scheduled for. Sorry, go ahead.
I was just going to say I haven't received any more notifications about any other questions, Cenk, at this time.
Okay, I think we were scheduled for 1 hour, right? So we have another 10 minutes to go. But I'll be more than happy to, if there isn't any other questions, if Matt, you or Charlie has some contributions, we can have that, or we can just thank everyone who has joined. And we're going to be sending you the link to this webinar. Actually, we are planning to do this bi-weekly. We're going to have another one with the founder and president of Contact Center World, Raj, next week. So you can, if you register with our social media accounts, you'll be able to follow those coming webinars as well. And other than that, yeah. So I thank everyone who has joined. I wish you a healthy and stay home environment, and please take care of your elderly relatives well, and keep yourself safe. So thank you very much. I hope to joining you in the coming webinars. Thank you very much. Bye-bye.
Thank you, Cenk.
Thank you, Matt.
Thanks, guys.
Bye-bye.